Ladies and gentlemen, we want you to stand and we want you to make some noise.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's go racing here at Knoxville.
Only the best go 3 abreast. It is show time at Williams Grove Speedway.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, here at Eldora Speedway, it's showtime!
You got 'em for a breath. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show on dirt, the World of Outlaws.
It's time to sit back, relax, and enjoy, because, ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime!
Set to do battle for 30 laps. The green flag is waving.
This weekend, oh my gosh, Erin, there is big races everywhere this weekend. Oh my gosh, I don't know how we're going to keep track of all of this.
Multiple devices.
Oh my gosh,
Or are you going to another race?
No, I'm not. I got NASCAR this weekend. I got to be the one that pays the bills. Okay, Pennsylvania's racing like 4 times.
Yep.
The Outlaws are in Kansas. We got Jackson's got a big weekend up there. Fremont's racing.
Yeah.
We can't keep up with all of it. So, but we're going to try. That's for sure. Oh, by the way, this is Wing Nation. She's Erin Evernham, and I'm Steve Poston. We're glad you joined us.
Yes.
And we've got this is going to be a fun weekend. It really is. As things start to wind down, which is a sad part of this weekend. I know. Hush up, you. It is but we're in that big race, part of the season.
Enough to look forward to.
Yes, a lot of big races going on. So we'll document all of that along the way here on the program. One of the big ones, the Lucas Oil ASCS National Tour, and they're one of our partners here on Wing Nation, and just good folks. And they annually, this is the 9th annual Jesse Hockett Daniel McMillen Memorial. And Scott Traylor, and of course, y'all know Scott from Racin Boys.
Yep.
Scott, very, very tight with with Jesse. I believe Daniel as well, but I know Jesse for sure. And so what we're going to do, and we'll talk a little ASCS Tour racing and what's going on there, but I really want to, just paint a picture of who Jesse Hockett was. I'll be completely honest with you. Jesse Hockett died just as Wing Nation was going live, and I don't know, I never met Jesse Hockett. Everyone who did, including yourself, just
a great guy. I knew him a bit before he drove for Casey, but when he was driving for Casey, and just a good person. He was a great racer, but he was on and off the track. He was respectable. It was nice, and it was just such a tragedy when we lost him.
Yeah, absolutely. So good that we honor him. Sad that we lost him.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about him in just a little bit with Scott Traylor. Before we get to that, though, want to take a look back and a listen back. Oh, listen to Johnny Gibson on this one. This was at Placerville, World of Outlaw NOS Energy Drink Sprint Cars. Okay, it's a late race battle between Carson Macedo and Shane Golubeck. And Shane, it had been 6 years since he won his first World of Outlaw race. He got this one done. And here's what it sounded like on Dirt Vision. It's our Dryden Diesel All Death-Defying Move of the Week.
And now for the Dryden Death-Defying Move of the Week, where one driver simply amazes us with their on-track moves.
We've got a race for the lead into traffic into 3 and 4. Here's Golubeck to the inside, and Macedo slide job to take the lead with the white flag waving. Macedo back to the inside, but Golubeck down the back stretch into 3 and 4 for the final time. And at the checkered flag, Shane Golubeck steals the win from Carson Macedo.
That death-defying move was brought to you by Dryden Diesel All Death, the official DEF of the World of Outlaws and wheelmen everywhere. Visit Dryden.com for more information. Instilled with Dryden's heritage of performance, Dryden Diesel All Def is built for the demands of today's diesel engines. Dryden Diesel All Def is perfect for owners and operators of on-road and off-road diesel trucks and cars that now require diesel exhaust fluid. Dryden, official motor oil and official diesel exhaust fluid of the World of Outlaws and wheelmen everywhere. And as always, American-owned and operated. Visit Dryden.com for more information.
Are you a serious diecast collector? Do you have a favorite driver? Are you looking for a gift for a race fan? No matter what the question, the answer is always PlanBSales.com. Plan B has all the latest in diecast from Lionel and apparel, artwork, and other items for your favorite driver in NASCAR or other forms of racing. Go to PlanBSales.com. Key your driver's name in the search window and look at all the options. Your one stop for diecast and other motorsports collectibles is PlanBSales.com.
Sage Fruit is a high-quality grower, packer, and shipper of Washington State apples, pears, and cherries. Sage Fruit believes in sprint car racing as a proud sponsor of sprint cars for the past 16 years and a partner of Wing Nation for the past 4 years. We love sprint car racing, and we're there for our sprint car fans. Sage Fruit works hard to deliver an exceptional eating experience. We value our relationship with sprint car fans and appreciate your continued support of Sage Fruit. Ask for Sage Fruit at your local grocer.
This is the Wing Nation Podcast. Back to Steve Post and Erin Evernham.
Having a great time. We appreciate you joining us here on the Wing Nation. It is a huge, huge weekend. A 4-night weekend in Pennsylvania.
I like that.
How about that? Babs kicks it off on Thursday, or tonight as you're watching this and listening to this. Okay, it's the Tommy Hinnerschitz Memorial for the All-Star Circuit of Champions at Williams Grove. Saturday is the Dirt Classic, $20,000 to win.
Whew. I like these big paying shows.
Yeah. And then Sunday, the All-Stars are at Hagerstown, Maryland. Now, I talked about this and I thought about this, okay? You know, we have the month of money, which is July, August for the World of Outlaw and NOS Energy Drink Sprint Cars. And we have the Pennsylvania month of money, which is September.
Yeah.
But I think we need a third one now.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens this week. We may need the Erin Reitzel month of money. Because Reitzel picked up the big $53,000 at Port, and then he picked up $12,500 plus all kinds of contingency at Atomic, and he's going for $20,000 this week at the Dirt Classic.
Lincoln,
and that guy's awful good. So he keeps doing this. We may have a third month of money, but that one might be all Erin Reitzel. Think about that.
Yeah.
That'd be good if you get a month of money named after you.
Yeah. Erin Reitzel, that's a good thing.
That's if you're Reitzel and his banker. He said in Victory Lane, I was not aware of this. He said I think he said, I could be totally wrong, but his wife tends bar at Dingus.
Really?
I believe so.
Wow.
Now, can you imagine? So she's tending bar on Saturday night.
I'm not sure which one has the better gig.
And he's winning the race. You imagine Dingus probably was just losing their minds. Of course, they had the late model nationals out there too. Huh. So anyhow, so I think that's what he said in Victory Lane. So, but yeah, big weekend in Pennsylvania with Baps, Williams Grove, Lincoln, and Hagerstown on Sunday. World of Outlaw and NOS Energy Drink Sprint Cars, the Outlaw Boot Hill Showdown at Dodge City Raceway Park in Kansas. I love the name of that one.
Yeah,
I've always loved the Boot Hill Showdown.
I like a good name.
Yeah, it's always been good.
I mean, it's not Sapulpa or Sheboygan.
It's not Sapulpa or Sheboygan.
Or Chillicothe.
Or Chillicothe. Okay, it's just Dodge City, but it is the Boot Hill Showdown. And the other thing that this means, Erin, is that maybe it's a little closer time zone to where we're at.
Thank goodness.
Yes, exactly. So World of Outlaws are busy there. As we mentioned at the top of the show, the Lucas Oil ASCS National Tour, it's the 9th annual Jesse Hockett Daniel McMillen Memorial. And let's go to the hotline. Joining us, he is with RacinBoys.com, a dear friend of ours here on Wing Nation, and a guy that knows all things ASCS National Tour. Scott Traylor's on the line. Hello, Scott. Welcome into Wing Nation.
Well, hey, guys, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Well, we're glad to talk to you, and we want to talk about this big race. But first and foremost, Jesse Hockett, Daniel McMillen. Share with us a little bit about the two guys that we honor in this memorial event, Scott.
Well, the wrench and the rocket,
as
we affectionately call them. You know, they were just obviously cousins, and they had a great relationship and a lot of success on the racetrack. And you know, unfortunately, we lost Daniel way too early, and then Jesse went on with his career and really worked hard at trying to let people know that his success was based off of what him and Daniel did in their early years. And he was always thoughtful of Daniel's memories, and that's why we're honoring them both this weekend. It is just a great time and a great memory. You know, we used to do an ASCS show, a weekly show here at Racin Boys. And in this very studio, at this very desk right here, Jesse Hockett was on with us the night before his passing. And I'll never forget that night. And fortunately, I will say I was lucky enough to say that I did Jesse's first interview with him when he was 14 years old. He was a little chubby, redheaded kid with freckles all over his face. He just won his first four-cylinder sprint car race at Lynn County Speedway, and that was 1998. And luckily enough, I got to do his first interview with him. So we have a lot of great memories. And Jesse was all about sprint car racing. You know, we know him as a driver, at the success that he had as a non-wing driver, wing driver, anything that he really got into, he was really good at. But one thing about Jesse, he wanted to make sure that sprint car racing, open wheel racing, was thriving and doing the best it could do. And Jesse would drive every week an hour and 15 minutes one way from his house to our studio just to do that show with us, and would not take any money for it. We'd give him a little gas money to get back and forth, but he did not want to get paid for it because he wanted to let everybody know how great open wheel racing was. And I think that's the thing I remember the most about Jesse. You know, I know later, right before his passing, he started talking about being a promoter in this area. He wanted to do some non-wing sprint car racing promotions. And, man, I know he'd be really excited with what we have with the Wingless Auto Racing Series around this area now.
Scott, how I don't know how to word this right, but how important and how grateful are we that we have this memorial event that not only helps keep Daniel and Jesse's legacy alive, but it also gives his family, his friends, his racers, his competitors, everyone in the industry a chance to kind of come together and remember them from this weekend.
Well, Erin, I just got chills from you saying it. I'm not going to lie to you. It is. Scotty Cook, longtime pit reporter with Boys and myself. We took a pack a long time ago to make sure that the legacy of Jesse is never forgotten, and I know his family's that way as well. And anybody that was ever associated with Jesse, I know we all work hard at letting everybody, reminding everybody, I should say, about the legacy of Jesse Hockett. He was just a great person, and not only a great sprint car driver, just a great person. And if you liked a little hard-ass humor, he was one of your kind of guys as well. So, yeah, I think everybody, to a man and a woman that ever crossed paths with Jesse Hockett, is going to do what they can to make sure that everybody remembers him.
It's phenomenal to me, and I shared this, I think, off air with Erin. We started Wing Nation right around the time when Jesse had passed. Okay, so I'm not one of those people that cross paths. One of my first memories of Wing Nation, though, was walking in. I had hung out with Jason Sides, and of course we know Jason, the big party, the Sides Bar and Grill. And I walked, and I'd hung out with him one time and had a few beers, and we laughed and just tee-heed and cut up and everything. And I'd walked in. It was at Charlotte at the dirt track, and it was right after Jesse had passed. And Jason just spoke so reverently of Jesse, and it wasn't. Part of it was the race car driver. The biggest part of it was as the man that he was, and to get a guy like Jason Sides to be serious, and I've known Jason now for this whole time, and I don't remember any other time that he was that serious about it. It just speaks volumes for someone like myself that never crossed paths with Jesse. That's why these memorial events, that's why the Hall of Fame, that's why things like that are important, because there's some great folks that some lived a natural life that have moved just because of time have passed on, but we've lost some of these guys early. So I just think it's awesome that we're able to do this. And remember, and Scott, I know you've represented at some awards events and things like that. You've represented the Hockett family well. So tip of the cap to you. These are guys we need to keep talking about.
Well, yeah. And I think you made a great point there, Steve. I mean, that's what the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum is all about, right? Yep. Remembering the legacy of the people that built the foundation for what we're doing today, right? And that goes back to not only drivers, officials, promoters, media types. I mean, there's a lot of people that work really hard at rowing the boat to keep our industry alive and well. And Jesse Hockett, I really believe deep down in my heart, and I know Scotty and I have had this conversation many a times, I really believe that his legacy was going to be a promoter in the end. As great as a race car driver as Jesse Hockett was, I think there was a good chance at the end of his career and whenever he stepped away from motorsports, I think he was going to be known as a really good promoter because he had a great rapport with the drivers, the fans, the promoters, and I think he would have been exceptional at a promoter if he would have had the opportunity.
That's interesting. I never had that thought, but it makes complete sense to me when you say that. I could see it. His passion for sprint car racing, like you mentioned earlier, was very apparent as soon as you met him. When you look forward to this weekend, 3 full nights, 3 full shows, this event is turned into something big. And I know we've talked to past winners. It's not just about winning the $10,000 or a 3-day show. It's about winning this memorial event and how much it means to them. But looking forward to the weekend, what do you expect?
Well, I think right now you got to look at Sam Hafertepe is the guy to beat with the Lucas Oil ASCS National Tour. He's been really successful. Obviously, he's won the last 3 championships with the national tour. He's had a really good year this year. He's got a pretty good size lead right now going into this weekend's an event. He's had success at Lucas Oil Speedway. He's won there several times. I think you got to right now. You got to point your finger at Sam as the guy to beat. But you know, you look at guys like Scott Boguski, Blake Hahn. There's several people. Blake Hahn really needs to make up for last year, because really last year at the Lucas Oil Speedway during the Jesse Hockett McMillen Memorial, it was really the icing on the cake for Sam to win the championship when Blake didn't make the show one night. And he was within, I think, 77 points going into that night. Now, I think he's 100. I don't have that right in front of me, but it's just under 150 points, or roughly thereabout, right now in the points. So he's got a challenge. He's going to need Sam to have a little bad luck. I don't think this is the weekend it's going to happen, because Sam has so much success at a track like Lucas Oil Speedway.
Yeah. Sam steps up for those big ones pretty good. Well, he steps up for all of them pretty good. You know, it's like
I mean, he is. Let's face it, he's the best 360 sprint car driver in the country, and I'm sure when he decides to make the move in the 410 ranks, he's going to do well. You know, we're well represented in the 410 ranks. We look at Erin Reitzel, you look at Shane Stewart, Jason Johnson, what he did. All those drivers cutting their teeth and learning how to become a professional and prepare themselves for the world of outlaws through the Lucas Oil ASCS National Tour. And I think Sam's going to be the next guy that's going to do that.
You know, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I was looking at this. Jason Johnson, you're right, Shane Stewart, and I'm on an Erin Reitzel. I watched him at Atomic Speedway pick up the win with the All Stars, and I just that guy is just amazing, and it really is. They learn a lot of the craft of traveling with the Lucas Oil ASCS National Tour. Now, we had Blake Hahn on our MAV TV show this past weekend, and not only did they learn the craft, but you guys are kind of a family. We actually showed some footage of a whitewater rafting trip and everything. So, I mean, you guys work hard, but you guys have a pretty good time traveling around the country with this ASCS National Tour as well.
Well, we do. You know, this is my 11th year on the Lucas Oil ASCS National Tour. So, you know, when you're around that long, you become family. And no one more so than the Hans to me. You know, Emmett and Fuzzy Hahn have been so great to Kirk and myself, and our relationship. We're going on our 15th year with the Chili Bowl Midget Nationals. We've done the shootout for several years now, traveling up and down the road. And to be fair, you know, I'm an old guy, right? I'm not a young guy anymore. and a lot of these people, that travel with the Lucas Oil ASCS National Tour, you know, Erin, you know how it is. It's a bunch of young people, right? You're somewhere between 20 and 35. So I'm like the father of about 20 different people on the road, right? But Blake Hahn, I will say this about Blake Hahn. I don't put many people on a higher pedestal than I do Blake Hahn. He's such a good person.
Yep.
And when I say a good person, on and off the track, he thinks like an old, wise man. You know, his dad, Tommy, has raised him the right way, and he believes in what his dad has taught him, the life lessons growing up. And he's applying them at a young age, and you don't see that very often with kids at his age. So the biggest compliment, besides being a great race car driver, is that he is a great person, and he's just wise beyond his years. And I think the future is really bright for Blake Hahn. I think he's going to be a champion with the National Tour at some point.
That's good stuff. Scott, you mentioned being a dad to all these guys on the road and gals. What is it like for you to see some of the names that you just mentioned go on and have success in the outlaw level, on the 410 level, like Jason Johnson or, Shane Stewart, whoever it may be, where you kind of help them in a fatherly way, and then they go on and do even greater things?
Well, you know, I mean, it depends on the individuals, the relationship. But, yeah, I'm very proud. You know, I hated to see Erin Reitzel leave. You know, the one thing I love about Erin, and I've told him this, so this is nothing that I haven't said to him face to face. He doesn't mind being a heel. You know what I mean?
Yep.
He doesn't mind wearing the black hat. He doesn't mind being the bad guy. And he doesn't mind racing people hard. And we need guys like that in our sport, right? We need rivalries. We need people to want to outrun that guy worse than anybody out on the racetrack. And Erin Reitzel brought that out in people. Then you have another example of Shane Stewart, maybe the nicest guy I've ever met in sprint car racing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely one of the nicest guys that I've ever met on and off the racetrack, Shane Stewart. Then you have the guy like Jason Johnson that, you know, he has this close, tight group of friends, but he still had the respect of everybody that he traveled with up and down the road. He was fierce as a competitor. He wasn't afraid to race you hard. I mean, and then there's the list is long of people like Brady Bacon, Tim Crawley, Gary Wright.
Mm-hmm.
The list is long of people that have ran with the Lucas Oil ASCS National Sprint Car Tour. Wayne Johnson. I mean, I know I'm forgetting several of them there, but there's so many of them that have put their thumbprint on the national tour to go on and do great things. I mean, you look at what Brady's done, right? I mean, we were thrilled to have Brady racing with us when he did. The all-time winningest ASCS National Tour driver, all-star winner, World of Outlaw winner, Gary Wright, you know, the all-time winningest driver with. So a lot of people have really cut their teeth with the national tour.
I'm going to go off sprint car racing because you and I see each other a lot of times at Kansas Speedway. And there's another guy in motorsports that you have a little bit of a track record for. I'm not sure if we're thanking you or cursing you for bringing Clint Boyer into our lives. Now, your buddies with Boyer drove Boyer drove a car for you before, didn't he?
Yeah, he drove a couple times for me. In 2000, he drove a modified for me at I-70 Speedway. He was a local dirt champion at Lakeside and Thunder Hill up in Marietta, Kansas. And everybody was talking about how great of a driver he was. And I was really into my radio career at that time, and I was starting to move into a car owner role. I'd been driving for about 30 years, but I wanted to start trying to be a car owner. A lot of people didn't like me talking on the radio and driving, so I thought, maybe I can put somebody behind the wheel. And I did that. Clint Boyer went out to the biggest race of the year at I-70 Speedway, and he qualified second, missing the pole by 2/1000ths of a second. He'd never raced there. And nearly won the pole, and there was 30-some cars there. It was a 100-lap race. He ended up running third. Then I took him down to Moberly, and we run second to a guy by the name, what's his name? Carl Edwards. Carl did a nasty slider on him on pavement. You know, Carl, we talk about the slide job that he tried to do on Jimmy out here at Kansas Speedway, right? Well, he did the same thing with Clint, went on to win the race. Clint ran second. Dale Roper was there. He was in the middle of the action as well. But then we went on to the ARCA race. You know, I ran at Kansas Speedway. I'd qualified 11th. I crashed running 8th. I was daubered down in the pits. Clint come down. He says, hey, man, let's try to put the band back together and see if we can do this. We put our money together. We went to Nashville. Clint qualified 7th, led 47 laps, lost the lead with 9 laps to go, finished second, got the driver of the race. It was all live on television. And we went down to Charlotte a couple weeks later, ran in the top 5 all night down there. And if you remember, Steve, the night that Kirk Shelberdine won that ARCA race, he was running 13th, and the rain was coming, and Kirk stayed out. We all came in. Kirk went on to win the race. But we probably should have had a top 5 finish there as well. So, yeah, we had some good times together. It was a lot of fun, and I cherish those memories with Clint. And I just say I'm one of many people that helped him along the way, like Bob Morton and Jeff Cassidy and a lot of people here on the local level that helped him work his way up through the ranks. So I was just one of many.
Yeah, there is, and that's the way it is with all these guys. But boy, it's great to have those memories. You're we're running shy on time here, Scott. You're of course Racin Boys going to be at Lucas Oil Raceway this weekend, but you have a couple other. You guys have a ton of broadcasts every weekend. What do you got going on this weekend?
Gosh, you would ask me if I haven't looked at the schedule. My partner Kirk Elliott's here this weekend. Just go to RacinBoys.com. You know, we average somewhere, Steve, between 5 and 7 races a weekend.
I know.
Between audio and video. So just go over there to RacinBoys.com. Racing without a G, because we can't have proper grammar in racing. So Racing Boys without a G. Go to the website, find out the events, and you can find out everything we're doing right there.
Absolutely. It's a great site, great coverage of sprint car racing, great coverage of across the board of sports, of the whole sport. So you guys do a great job with all of it. Scott, always a pleasure to hang out, telling little stories here, and always appreciate the time.
Hey, thanks. Anytime, guys.
There you go. RacinBoys.com, Scott Traylor. It's just one of my favorite guys to sit around and shoot the breeze with, because he has these stories, whether it's a Carl or whether it's a Clint Boyer or whether it's these sprint car guys. It's amazing. He really is just one of the really good guys in our sport.
For sure. I loved his story about Jesse and the interviews and how he came down. And just those personal stories are great.
Good folks, that's for sure. And we appreciate Scott Traylor. We talked a little bit about some of the upcoming races. Let's knock a couple of them out and then move on out of here. Jackson Motorplex, they wrap up their season. It's Casey's General Stores Open Wheel Nationals. The IRA bumper-to-bumper sprints, Heartland Race Saver sprints, non-wing sprints Friday and Saturday, and the penalty box will be open one final time. So belly up to the bar, one final time at the penalty box. Got to make sure that everything's.
That place is great.
I know that place is awesome. Fremont Speedway has the Jim and Joanne Ford Classic. This is for the fast 410 sprints. They're going to have, oh my God, you imagine how many cars they're going to have in Ohio? They're going to have a ton of cars there. Paying $10,000 to win Saturday night, the Jim and Joanne Ford Classic at Fremont Speedway. Other 410 racing, Sharon Speedway on Saturday night, St. Francis County and Wayne County is racing as well. So it's going to be a big, big weekend for sure.
I like it.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I absolutely love it. Good stuff all across the board. Wing Nation gear is available all this weekend in Pennsylvania, Williams Grove, Lincoln, and then down in Maryland at Hagerstown. You can go to the All-Star Circuit of Champions trailer, and it's getting close to hoodie time.
Yes.
They were slinging some hoodies.
I like our hoodies, too.
Yes,
We've got some good hoodies.
We got some good hoodies. They were slinging some hoodies up at a time.
Oh, I like that.
Because that got a little chilly at night. So it's like, so jump right down there to the Wing Nation trailer and grab yourself a hoodie. So they were slinging some hoodies there, and it's getting to be that time of year, so make sure you get that. Want to also remind you that coming up this weekend, it is Wing Nation by Sage Fruit on MAV TV. David Gravel joins us. So always great to talk to David and see what's going on in his world. Just one of the class guys we have in our sport.
Sure is.
He's in wedding planning mode.
Oh, boy.
Oh, we'll talk all about that and a whole lot more. Hey, thanks to Scott Traylor for joining us here today on Wing Nation.
This has been the Wing Nation Podcast. Find Wing Nation on wingnation.com, Facebook, YouTube, or your favorite podcast provider. The Wing Nation Podcast is a production of the Motor Racing Network. All rights reserved.